Welcome back to the Lumiose Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today we're going to be talking about what has been a hot topic in the Pokemon community for a while now, and that is Pokemon Home. Pokemon Home is, of course, the newest kind of system for cloud storage for Pokemon, as well as many things. It did many things, you know, a brief history of Pokemon with cloud storage. There was Pokemon Box back in Gen 3, which was just a little cloud storage you can put your Pokemon on, you know, outside of your Gen 3 Game Boy games. And then later on we got Pokemon Bank, and this was also used to kind of send Pokemon from your 3D or your DS games to your 3DS games. You would have to put them in Pokemon Transporter, and that would send them to Bank. Then you could connect Bank to one of your 3DS games, be it Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, Oris, XY, and then you would connect Bank to that, and then you'd be able to get your Pokemon that you transport in, as well as, again, store your Pokemon on there. Then we have Pokemon Home, which basically same thing as Bank, but allowed for us to move our Pokemon from the 3DS to the Switch. And not only did it do all this, but it also it took a lot of features and added them to Home. And some of these were features that had been a part of the franchise for a while now, like the GTS. It's now, you can no longer use the GTS in a Switch game. You use it in Pokemon Home. And then Wonder Trading is also on Pokemon Home, but that's in the games as well. And there's other examples of little features in there. You can trade on there. You can do stickers and stuff. You can complete like a dex, and if you complete all the Pokemon, like the national dex and Pokemon Home, then you get a special Magearna that has the antique style, you know, where it looks like a Pokeball. All of that is really, really neat, but what we're talking about today is what Pokemon Home was said to be, and why it's not that, but how we could make it that. So, way back when Pokemon Home was announced, there was a lot of controversy around the upcoming Switch games, Pokemon Sword and Shield, and this controversy was mainly because there was going to be a dex cut. For the first time in a Pokemon game, a mainline Pokemon game, not including Let's Go, because that was like a weird situation, but there would not be all the Pokemon available. You know, we'd seen before that there were some Pokedexes that had, you know, Pokemon missing in the dex, but then those Pokemon were still transferable in. But this wouldn't be the case with Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield only allowed a certain amount of Pokemon, and even after their DLC, there were some Pokemon that couldn't be in Pokemon Sword and Shield. This remained true for Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, Legends Arceus, and of course Scarlet and Violet. Now, one thing they said was, hey, but, you know, don't worry about it. Pokemon Home is going to be coming out, and this is going to be a feature where you can interact with your Pokemon in their home. You know, that's why we've got the name Pokemon Home. This is their home. And, you know, really invoked kind of vibes of, like, the anime with Ash visiting his Pokemon on, like, Professor Oak's lab, you know, and he has those pastures and stuff, and you can see Ash running around playing with his Pokemon, feeding his Tauros and stuff. That's almost the image they painted. Now, obviously, I knew it would never be like this, but it's so much worse. Like, it is just, you can see your Pokemon when you go on the mobile app, you can see your Pokemon, like, right there, and you can tap it, and they'll do a little animation. And that's it. But you can't really interact with your Pokemon. And so that's exactly what we're talking about, is how can we make Home truly like a home, and truly like a place where I feel like I can still be connected to my Pokemon that are not available in Scarlet and Violet, and won't be available in Scarlet and Violet after DLC, and won't be available in whatever comes next, won't be available in Gen 10, etc., etc. And the number one way to do this is by looking at one of the cloud storage system games that I did not mention, and that is Pokemon Ranch. And this game is underrated as heck. Let me just say that. This was a game for the Wii. It connected to your Gen 4 games. I don't know if it connected to Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but I know it connected to Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. And you would basically be able to put your Pokemon in Pokemon Ranch, and there were these cute little chibi, like, Mii-style sprites, and you could see them running around the ranch, and some of this was like they'd be playing a ball together, they'd be, you know, running around together, talking to each other, and there was even like kind of rewards in the game, like Haley, which was the character who watches over the ranch, would occasionally be like, hey, you know, I've been seeing your Kricketune over there, and it's really cool, you know, would you want to trade it for my whatever? And like, you seriously could get some really cool Pokemon from trading with Haley. Like, you know, I think there were ones that knew special moves, there were definitely ones that were like mythical, and that, I mean, that alone is just really, really freaking cool. And it's exactly what you wanted, right? Like, especially, I can remember as a kid, my sister and I fighting over, she had Pokemon Diamond, I had Pokemon Pearl, and us fighting over who gets to put their Pokemon in Pokemon Ranch and watch them, you know, play around. I mean, and I think that system would be great today. It would be cool if there was a game that probably isn't Pokemon Home, but is a game that connects to Pokemon Home and uses the storage system from Pokemon Home to basically bring your Pokemon to life. And, you know, again, if you did the ranch style, if you did it where it's like a Mii style, this could provide opportunities for you to be able to use your Mii character on the Switch to interact with your Pokemon. Like, maybe you could even control your Mii character to walk around. I don't know. This is all spitballing here. Pokemon Ranch 2 is what I'm calling this idea. And then you could even, you know, have the Pokemon in the Mii style themselves. That way, this would help with, you know, the animations and stuff, because, you know, they wouldn't have to be moving around. I wouldn't have to see, you know, them doing perfect turns and everything, but it'd be just a little way to interact with my Pokemon. Because that's the big deal, is obviously, you know, if you get into like full-blown animations where it's basically just camping, like in Scarlet or Sword and Shield, and picnicking in Scarlet and Violet, where the Pokemon are like interacting with you and everything, and they're, you know, not lifelike, but with pretty good 3D models, then it becomes an issue of, again, you're going to run into the same problem of, well, you know, we can't do this forever because we have to make this for every single Pokemon and every single form. You know, you figure there's 10 Pokemon, and of those 1010, there's really, you can double that number because there's shiny forms for every Pokemon. And then you also have to factor in that there's regional variants. You know, Ninetales is counted one time in that, you know, list of regional, or list of Pokemon, but there's a Ninetales and there's an Alolan Ninetales. You know, then you even have Pokemon like Arceus has, you know, 18 different forms. Rotom has multiple forms. So because of all this, you would have that issue. So again, I say just make them chibi so it's a little bit easier. You know, make them this Mii style that you see in Ranch. But it's just something to interact with them. You can even on here perhaps be able to have, you know, some kind of feature where you can feed them, and, you know, maybe it can even be like you can mix foods. You know, I remember in the anime, Brock would always talk about, oh, you know, I mix foods for specific Pokemon types. Like, there was even a scene where he explained to someone that he explains to Professor Ivy that he puts a mix of berries on top of bug-type Pokemon's food. And, you know, so it'd be cool to, like, mix different foods for different types. You know, that could be a fun little feature in it. If they really wanted to go super, super far, they could kind of make a Battle Revolution stadium type game that we could connect to and use our Pokemon there. But I'm totally not expecting them to do that, because then again, you go back to the whole issue that they're claiming with Dexit, where, you know, you can't do all the Pokemon's animations because at some point there will be too many, even if it's not now. But yeah, I think this will be a great idea. I think this will really make home a better place and make home feel more exactly like that, a home. And also, I think that this would be a really, really good way to justify that payment. You know, you do have to pay for Pokemon Home if you're using the kind of extended version of it. There is a version that you don't have to pay for. I know I'm paying for it, so I don't know the difference between the standard and the paid, but this would justify the paid one, because maybe only the paid one can connect to this Pokemon Ranch 2, and, you know, I would feel like, hey, you know, I am getting my money's worth, because at any time, if I'm sitting here thinking, ah, man, Swellow's not in Scarlet and Violet, and I'd love to see my Swellow again, I could just pull up Pokemon Ranch 2, and, oh, there's my Swellow. there he is. You know, I'm playing with him. I'm making his food and feeding him. All kinds of things like that. Maybe you could customize the areas. There's so much potential for a game like this. So yeah, I really want them to bring Pokemon Ranch back, and I think that would really help the home situation and would probably appease a lot of us that have been really sick of waiting on home these past few months, you know. But yeah, be sure to let me know what you all think of this in the comments below. Be sure to also like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss our future Pokemon videos. Also, let me know in the comments what your idea is to make home better. How would you make home a better place and further justify that paid version of it? But yeah, again, like, subscribe, hit the bell, comment, and until next time, I will see all of you later.